Everybody focuses on legislation. Well, that's only about 6 months out of every 2 years. The rest of the time we have what are called constituent issues. That is helping citizens deal with sometimes an overbearing, overreaching, heavy hand of government that gets beyond what it's supposed to be doing. I mean, we've done things like save businesses here in Texas because they were late getting a license renewed. The agency was about to put them out of business. Save the deer breeding business where they were requiring them to actually kill deer to test to see if they had a disease. And I said, that's a sure cure for that disease if that's the way you have to test them. We got that stopped, but we've got one now that some of you may be familiar with that has gotten a lot of notoriety, and that's CPS, Child Protective Services, which is an organization that is badly needed because we have some really serious issues with children in bad homes, but we also got to make sure that when agency steps in, it's at the right time. Not too early and not too late. And we have a problem at both ends of that spectrum. We just had another one this past month that manifested itself, so somebody may have read about it, with the Pardo family, in which they took the 4-year-old child from the family, and I'll just summarize in the whole process of what they went through. There was nobody at CPS, at Children's Hospital, or the doctor, or within the court system that had ever seen or talked to or had any firsthand knowledge of anything, any wrongdoing by either the child or parent. Think about that. Here are people who are filling out affidavits, making sworn statements about something that they had no knowledge of, had not seen the parents or talked to them, made no attempt, as required by statute and legislation and rules and regulations, to try to resolve any issues prior to taking that first step was to go take the child. And so we got involved with that. It had a hearing, and unfortunately, I would say the hearing was almost a waste of time because the judge gave the CPS everything they asked for. But the interesting thing was there was not one person that was on a witness stand that had anything to say about any wrongdoing the parent had done. All of the doctors concerned had to do with criticizing other doctors. The bottom of it was there was concern that a child was receiving treatments that they didn't need. Well, if you looked at the doctor's affidavit, all of her concerns had to do with the diagnosis that were made by it was professional jealousy type of like two lawyers arguing over what side of the law. This was two doctors making questions about other doctors in there. But anyway, and even the ad litem attorney in what her line of questioning was along the line of being more of a shill for CPS than actually representing the child. And in the end, the judge told the parents, after no one could identify anything that had actually been done that was wrong, the judge told the parents, you know, if you just cooperated with the government, you wouldn't have to go through this. And that was a horrible message to be delivering. That message would be quickly interpreted: if you had cooperated with a government agency that was coming to take away your child, this may not have happened because nothing was heard in this courtroom today that would justify taking the child away. But we're going to punish you for doing it. And so hopefully we'll get this worked out. I was in Austin this week to talk with the CPS folks to try to get them to recognize that this was a bad step and they needed to stop trying to defend their position and accept the fact that they had done overstepped. And so we'll see how this works out. But I was just going to bring this up as a particular example because it's not just this legislation of what we do in Austin that is so important in making sure that we have government not doing more than what it's supposed to, because we truly believe in limited government, just barely enough government to keep things running, and small enough to actually care that what they're doing is doing the right job. And so if you haven't seen it, it's on our website. We had a record number, 56,000 views on the post I made about this. So the interest is very widespread in the state. And the family just got an excellent attorney that was brought in to do the job. Many of you met him. He ran for judge this last time. His name is Jim Pickle. Jim has handled some similar cases to this, so I expect that that this case will make a major turn to the right here soon. Anyway, that was more than I intended to say. Thank you.
My name is Jeff Morgan. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I was the one who took the video of Bob Hall speaking in front of the Rockwall GOP. About 3 years ago, I contacted Bob Hall when I had my own instance with Children's Protective Services. Children's Protective Services worked in such a way as to destroy the relationship that I had, not only with my daughter, with my grandchildren. Because of CPS's involvement, in which they knew I was completely innocent but refused to tell my daughter that I had nothing to do with the situation that took place, I have now not seen my grandchildren for 4 years and 3 months. After the death of Leanna Wright, I was very upset that CPS was still acting in such an irresponsible manner. I contacted newspaper editors, I talked with congressmen and senators. Bob Hall was the only senator that responded to me. I was in Washington, D.C. for school when Bob Hall said, "Let me call you up there." Bob Hall talked to me, got my information. We spoke a few times since then as well, both on the phone and in person. I've corresponded with him. Bob Hall has been an outstanding stalwart on the matter of CPS. I support his efforts in this. I also hope that our government officials, from Governor Greg Abbott to Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, to the Speaker of the House, Bonin, to the different senators and representatives, would look at the lack of transparency and the lack of accountability within Children's Protective Services. I speak as one who has gone directly to CPS Commissioner Hank Whitman, looked him in the eye, testified in front of him, shook his hand, man to man, veteran to veteran. Hank Whitman has not kept his promises. Almost 3 years of the day, I am still waiting, and I know that I wait in vain for Children's Protective Services to actually make right and to seek to undo the damage, the extensive damage that they have caused in my family's relationship. I know friends that have had children taken away from them because of Children's Protective Services. The majority of children that they take out, approximately 85%, are due to apparent or potential neglect or abuse. Nothing about imminent danger, but somebody may possibly now or in the future be neglectful. Therefore, we will take the children out of the home. What Senator Bob Hall is speaking about is an issue that needs to be directly addressed. I hope that media gets involved with this. I hope the politicians get involved with this. I will do whatever I can to help others get involved with it. If you are a parent, you must realize you are not safe from the clutches of Children's Protective Services. If you are a grandparent, you must realize that your grandchildren and your children are not safe from the clutches of Children's Protective Services. Children's Protective Services should actually be called Family Destructive Services. That's how much damage they do. It is one thing for an agency to make a mistake, to acknowledge the mistake, to seek to minimize the mistake. It is entirely a different story when the agency knows it's made egregious mistakes, gross negligence, and conscious indifference, and yet rather than admit to it and seek to make things right, they engage in a cover-up and make things worse. I fully support Senator Bob Hall. I fully support anybody who's going after Children's Protective Services. Jim Pickle, the attorney, I know him as well. I am fully in support of what Jim Pickle will be doing on behalf of this family. To the many senators in the state of Texas and representatives that I have spoken with, either via phone, messenger, in person, to the editorial list, to the media, I hope you pick up this story, and I hope you help to bring real change, real accountability. We will not fix the CPS problem by throwing money at them, only by causing them to be completely transparent, to disincentivize them from taking children out of homes, often for no reason. To not throw money at them to give them more money, to empower them to do more damage, but to make them accountable for the dollars that they do have right now. Again, Senator Bob Hall, I thank you for leading this charge on behalf of the Pardos. I am fully supportive of you, and once again, I want everybody to know that from my perspective, you were the person that I could go to. You were the person who reached out to me. You gave me great advice. Unfortunately, I am still suffering under the same problems. I have not seen my grandchildren now for over 4 years. Churches know about this, they do nothing. Parents know about this, they do nothing. Former in-laws know about this, they are rejoicing over the fact that I do not get to see my grandchildren, even though I was the one person who was the safety net for my grandchildren, as even Children's Protective Services stated to others. please bring justice to the Pardo family, and not just the Pardo family, but hundreds and thousands of families throughout the state of Texas. Reform CPS. I would go so far as to even say, stop their funding until they get things fixed. Thank you.